Hey everybody, Marcus Crawford here with the Idaho Quadcopter channel. Hey, this is going to be kind of an unusual video for me, something a little different. We got some news yesterday that could potentially affect all of us, and that's with regard to the FCC potentially putting DJI on what they call the covered list. And that could affect our hobby pretty profoundly. So I thought it was worth just putting out a little video, just kind of exploring what we know, what we don't know, and you know, we may end up with more questions than answers here, but we did figure some things out as to what this is kind of all about. So what happened essentially is a gentleman by the name of Brendan Carr, who is an FCC commissioner, put out a tweet. Hey, before we get started here, I want to give credit where credit is due. Brendan Carr's tweet was shown to me by John Coopy yesterday evening, and it was in turn originally shown to him by Sean Hickey of Geeksvana. So those guys deserve credit for bringing this to light. Hey, I also want you guys to know that I'm putting this together just as a hobbyist, just like all of you. I am certainly not a legal expert, nor I am an expert in the FCC or any other part of this subject matter. I'm just interested like all of you, and I just want to show you some of the information and some of the documents that I found. Any opinions that I express here are simply my own and are not intended as advice to anybody for anything. So what did that tweet say? And I'm going to read this off of the tweet right now to make sure that I get it right. But what he said was, I called for commencing the process of adding DJI, a Chinese drone provider, to the FCC's covered list. DJI drones collect troves of sensitive data, from images of U.S. critical infrastructure to sensing body temp and heart rates. We can't afford an airborne Huawei. Well, you know, again, that brought up a lot of questions. What does that mean? What is the covered list, etc.? They also include a couple of pages of documents that were published on the FCC website. So before we get into that, I think we need to explore who Brendan Carr is and how he fits into the hierarchy at the FCC. So Brendan Carr is a commissioner on the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission. And what the FCC does is they're in charge of the airwaves in the United States, right? Granting licenses for different frequencies, etc. And virtually any product that transmits or receives has to go through an approval process by the FCC. I think virtually all countries in the world have something similar to this, but let's talk about the leadership. So the leadership, the acting chairwoman, and that would be who is in the head of the FCC, is a woman called Jessica Rosenworcel. She's the acting chairwoman, it says. So that tells me that that there's nobody that's actually been approved yet. And then Brendan Carr is a commissioner, Jeffrey Starks is a commissioner, and Nathan Symington is a commissioner. So it looks like all four of these people are commissioners on the FCC, so they're running the FCC, and Jessica Rosenworcel is the chairman, or the chairwoman, excuse me, of that group. So who is Brendan Carr? Well, this is the bio off of FCC's website, and it says Brendan Carr is the senior Republican on the Federal Communications Commission, and he served previously as the agency's general counsel. Well, general counsel means that he was the senior lawyer, so in charge of legal affairs. You know, I don't think that this is a political thing. You know, it says he's the senior Republican. I don't think that means anything. I think that what the FCC is looking at is protecting the interests of the United States of America. So let's talk about now, what is the covered list and what does it mean? So I'm going to put the page that was published on Brendan Carr's tweet off of the FCC website. I'm going to put it up on the screen, page 1 and page 2, and I'll let you guys look at those at your leisure. So you can freeze frame on those pages if you want and read them, or you can just go directly to the tweet. I will put a link to the tweet in the description below. But there's one paragraph there that stands out to me that kind of explains what the covered list is and what it could potentially mean to us as hobbyists. Okay, I've highlighted that second paragraph and have it on the screen here now. So let's look at that first sentence initially. Adding DJI to the covered list would prohibit federal USF dollars from being used to purchase its equipment. So one of the concerns that he talked about earlier was that there were some federal entities that were still buying DJI drones after even after putting them on that entity list, what, last year, the year before, whatever it was, and even the FBI was buying some DJI drones. So that seems to be a concern. And so if you're a federal agency, it would prohibit you from buying anything DJI. Now that in and of itself, would that stop DJI from selling products in the United States? No, of course not, because there's a huge, besides us hobbyists, there's a huge commercial market that they could still explore. But the second one is the one that's probably even more concerning, that second sentence. The FCC also has a proceeding underway examining whether to continue approving equipment from entities on the covered list for use in the U.S. regardless of whether federal dollars are involved. Huawei and 4 others are already on the covered list based on a determination that they pose an unacceptable security risk. So what does that mean? Well, that means that the FCC would no longer approve the wireless capabilities of our DJI drones. And as we know, all of these drones, they have to get anything that receives or transmits has to get FCC approval before it can be licensed and sold in the United States. Obviously, we control these drones via remote control, so I would presume they'd be covered under something like that. So I know for sure our drones would fall under that, obviously because of that wireless capability. Now, would products like the Osmo Action, and this is my OM4, their Bluetooth, would that fall under that? I don't think so, but I don't know for certain. If you do, please comment below. But what could that mean for DJI? Well, if they can't get their products, their drones, approved, they wouldn't be able to sell them in the U.S., right? So would they stay in the U.S. market? Look what happened to Huawei. Huawei has all but disappeared from the U.S. market. Well, it's not illegal to own a Huawei cell phone, or I think you can. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on this, but I think you could still even use one on your with your wireless provider. But I know they've all but disappeared from the U.S. market. So would that happen to DJI? I think there's probably a lot of potential, because one of the main things they sell are these drones, right? That's their claim to fame. That what do they have, like 80% of the consumer drone market. So then further, what do we do as hobbyists moving forward? Wow, I wish I could tell you that. So, we love our drones. I'm telling you, this Mavic Air 2S, it is the best drone I've ever owned, period. And trust me, I've owned a lot of drones, and it's just a phenomenal piece of technology. Love to fly it, really enjoy it. We got that Mavic 3 coming out here pretty quick. We're all excited about that and the potential that could mean for us as hobbyists to get the kind of video and pictures that we like to get, with aerial photography and aerial videography. So it's a conundrum. if DJI, if this concern is real, well, heck, I want to keep my country secure. So, yeah, I'm not going to use these if it's a problem for national security, right? And so my point is this: are you going to buy that Mavic 3 or aren't you? I'll be honest with you, I can't even answer that myself yet. You know, if it is something that the FCC is concerned about, I think as a consumer I should be concerned about it too. So I really don't think there is an answer yet. I think we just need to proceed and let things go forward, and as it all comes to light, and if DJI gets put on that covered list, well, that's going to be it. Would they continue to support our drones that we already have? Who knows? Presumably for a while, but I'm sure over a period of time they would just disappear. Now, what does that mean for companies like Autel? They're also a Shenzhen-based company. That's not mentioned in this anywhere. And you know, there's some other lesser Chinese manufacturers too. You know, could it promote Skydio a little bit? Well, no doubt about it. I flew my Skydio 2 yesterday, and it's a phenomenal piece of technology. But I can tell you, as much as I enjoy that Skydio, and I like the camera and everything else, it does not fly with the precision that this DJI drone does. So, yeah, so I don't know. I think that's going to be up to us as individuals, and ultimately, whatever comes down through the FCC, we'll have to just live with that. Now, I can also, I did a little bit of reading on what happened to Huawei. When they put Huawei, when they started sanctioning Huawei, they did it over a period of time, and it was well over a year before their full sanctions went into effect. In other words, they kept giving them 90-day extensions. So this isn't something that's going to happen tomorrow or the next day. So, you know, I suspect it would be something that would be a year or more in process. So anyway, those are just my thoughts and the things that I've discovered looking into it. If you have more information and can enlighten the rest of us, please put it in the comment down below. Yeah, let's you know, like I said, we want to continue flying our drones and have fun, but I wanted to talk about this a little bit because, again, as hobbyists, with DJI having such a huge market share on our consumer drones, it's definitely going to impact our hobby. So I guess that's about it. This is Marcus Crawford with the Idaho Quadcopter channel out. And if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to my channel. Most of all, I really appreciate you taking the time to look at this video. And of course, we'll see you on the next one. Bye now.